What's up, people, and welcome to the first video in a series I'm going to be doing all about writing, some self-publishing, and probably some marketing thrown in there as well. Why not? Topic number one, if you've come here to learn how to write a fantasy novel,
You have chosen wisely.
writing a novel is a hugely satisfying achievement. Yes, it takes a butt-ton of creativity, dedication, time, but thanks to the magic of today's technology, you have a better chance of being a professional author than you've ever had in history. And I mean all of history. All the advice you're going to hear in these videos is based on my experiences over the last 10 years, based on what I've learned through trial and error, and the many mistakes I've made along the way. Before we get started, you might be thinking, who the fuck is this guy to be telling me how to write and self-publish? Others may refer to me as thief, scoundrel, pest on occasion. Bengali will do. I've been writing since I could hold a pencil, and since 2010 I've been writing and self-publishing a range of epic fantasy, dark fantasy and military fantasy, and Weird West fantasy. And since 2012 I've been helping my fellow authors by sharing self-publishing and marketing advice to anyone who needs it. Hence these videos. Let's get stuck in. Point the first. Let's say you haven't written a thing yet. Most of you will have an idea, something, a concept, something that you want to write about. Some ideas are going to be character-based, some ideas are going to be based on a world, some just on a situation or idea or just story that you want to tell. For example, let's go with zombie dragons. That idea, zombie dragons, is your foundation for your novel. And what do you do with the foundation? You build on it. All you have to do is flesh that idea out. Flesh. How would zombie dragons affect the economy? Would zombie dragons be evil or good? What would they smell like? Where did these zombie dragons come from? Where did they come from? So whatever grain of an idea you start with, build on that until you have a full picture of the idea. Those of you who have read these mystical novels will know that a novel consists of not just prose, but a world, some characters, and hopefully a plot. When building on that idea, focus on those three areas. Get your world done, get your characters done, get your plot done. Simply put, in fantasy, worlds should be fantastical. They should not be normal. That's one of the things that separates fantasy from other genres. Worlds should be rich. They should be like opening a door or a window into a world so full of information and detail that they feel actually real, even though they only exist between pages. So they should be rich, not monetarily rich, rich like some sort of layer upon layer delicious world building cake. Now, by all means, have your zombie dragons, have your flying cities, have your talking cats, but readers still need to understand your world to be able to enjoy the story and to enjoy the novel. We'll dig into this big old pile of world building in a whole other video, but I like to think of it basically as a funhouse mirror, a reflection of our world. Some things you can see a clear reflection of, other things are warped and twisted. Somehow, they're recognizable. Characters. They should also be deliciously rich like a cake, and I seem to be on some sort of cake vein. Characters, like worlds, deserve detail. Think about us humans. We come in all shapes and sizes, yet we all have histories, backstories, emotions, hopes, dreams, thoughts, all sorts of things. Hobbies, beliefs, the whole shebang. Use those as tick boxes to make sure your characters are believable, that they have depth, that they are compelling, and give them needs and purpose and something they want, because that's what drives their personal story forward. And who knows, the rest of the story of the novel. And that's how you get intermingling things and all sorts of goodness. We'll dive deep into characters in another video soon. But one last quick tip, don't forget to represent all the different facets of humanity that we have in our world. And to complete the trifecta, we have plot. Hopefully, we should all be able to recognize a bad plot when we see one, either in a movie or a book. You kind of know when you come out of the cinema or you switch channels and you're like, I don't really understand why they did that. Why? Why did that happen? That's a bad plot. There is nothing driving it forward, there is no situation that needs to be resolved, no peril, no force. So like your characters, your plot needs to be 100% compelling. Simply put, it needs to be driven by a desire, a force, a necessity, a situation, or a problem. Couple of quick things. As you can probably tell, I approach writing from a planning point of view. I'm on that side of the spectrum where I like to plan, not everything, but a lot of things out, by paragraph, by chapter at very least. I like to write massive backstories for my characters. I like to write tables of things and places and maps. before I start writing. Then again, what's fun about the other side of the spectrum is having that grain of idea and just thinking, fuck it, I'm going to start writing and see what comes of that. You can be anywhere along that spectrum, doesn't matter. I'm obviously on this side, so if this advice doesn't quite work for you, maybe do a little planning, see how it feels, but if you want to dive in, go for it. Personally, I tried pantsing it. Sometimes it works for me, sometimes it doesn't. Usually I like to plan. But again, if this is your first novel, see what works for you. This is the beauty of writing. Everyone does it in their own different way. And lastly, if you're thinking, well, I don't actually have an idea, but I'd like to find one and start writing, awesome! That's exciting as fuck. You can go out there and just find one. I get a lot of my inspiration from movies, TV, even just a little line of dialogue sometimes. Of course, reading. I read a lot of books and just find little tiny nuggets of inspiration here and there and put it all together. In truth, you don't know when inspiration is going to strike, but you can do your best to try and channel as much of it as possible. And then, once you have all these things, the world, the characters, an inkling or a full description of the plot, it's time to start writing. And that you can find in part 2.